Hello everyone, we're going to talk about counters and accumulators. This is going to be app number 14. So what is a counter? A counter is a variable that counts the number of times that a certain action is executed. So we normally use the name for the variable count. And counts are declared outside the button because if you declare it inside, it's going to reset to 0 once you click the button once more. So it's set to 0. Once the user clicks it, count is right now 0. It's going to be equal to 0 plus 1. Great. So now counter is 1. Counts usually start in 0 and add 1 by 1 to start in the final number and decrease by 1 by adding here a minus sign. Accumulators. Accumulators are sort of the same thing, but they accumulate in value. So it is a variable that is used to save the total of an operation that was repeated several times. So we can use the name of the variable accum, symbolizing accumulation, accumulator. Accumulators are also declared outside of the button, for example here, because if you declare it inside, once the user clicks this button, accumulator will restart to 0 and everything you've done does not accumulate once again. So you can add, here we're adding the values of whatever a user has inputted into a text field into an accumulator. So why do we use them? Why are they important? We can use them to count the number of times a user does an action, so it's easy to loop through several actions at the same time. And for example, if you want to know the average age of a group of students, but you don't know the exact number of persons that are going to be, of people that are going to be adding their name into an app, you can use counters and accumulators. So for example, and this is the app we're going to do today. You get the first person adds their age 21. The next person adds their age 17. The next person adds their age 19. And then it stops. There's no more people there. So you get a counter of 3 because there were 3 people and an accumulator of 17 plus 19 plus 21. And therefore you can divide the sum by 3 to get the average. And that's what we're going to do. So as you can see in this example, it's 4 people, which is the counter, and the accumulator just accumulates whatever they inputted into the app, which is in this case their age, and you get the average displayed out. So we're going to create an app with the following elements. We're going to be counting up the counts of whenever the person clicks the button add, and the accumulation of their age. And at the end we're going to click calculate and we're going to display the average age of whatever amount of people have inputted their age in the app. So let's go ahead and do that. I've already pre-added my different objects here, and you can just click pause and do the same thing. But I have not added the connections. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. So this is a label that will display the average of all the ages added in the app. So I'm going to call this label average. I'm going to call this one label count. Label accum. txt age, and 2 buttons. First one, btn add as action UI button. The second one, btn calculates, and there's all of our connections. Perfect. So what do we want to do whenever the user clicks add? So first things first, I want to get whatever the user inputted here. Well, first things first is I'm going to have to create my count. So we're going to create two variables, var count, which is going to be equal to 0, and var accum, which is going to be equal to 0 as well. However, if we check our presentation, they're outside of the button because we don't want them to be wiped out whenever we click the button. So we're going to move those outside of our button here. And I'm just going to add some comments. Connections here. Declaring variables. Button add. So I've created two variables, count and accum. What we're going to do is whenever the user clicks it, we're going to change count equal to count plus 1. And accum, well, we're going to make accum equal to accum plus the value of whatever the user inputted here. So we have to get whatever the user inputted here into a let, which is going to let value equal to, and we're going to change that to the integer of txt age.text, and accum will be equal to accum, whatever we've had so far, 0 plus value. However, when we display our average here, and it may possibly be displayed as decimal points when you divide so many numbers, and we're using integers here, so we might as well start, well, we'll convert the value of this one into a double later on. So that's what happens when I click my button add. Next up, we're going to add our calculate button. So whenever we have the calculate button pressed, we're gonna divide our accumulation by the count. So we're gonna create a new variable or constant in this case, which is gonna be let average equal to accum divided by count. But we have to change this into doubles. So we could put double accumulator and the double of count. Therefore, average is now a double. And we want to change this label average dot text is going to be equal to the string of average, converting our double variable called average or constant into a string. Okay, so let's see if it works. Okay, let's try it out. So let's add our first age. Add. Oh no. So it seems we haven't changed the labels for these. I forgot to do that. So let's go back to our code. And whenever we click add, we want to show these new values. So we're going to change our labels. And we can put some comments here. Change labels. And we're going to change label count.text equal to string of count, and label accum.text equal to the string of accum. And let's run it again. And let's try it again. Add. Okay, we've accumulated 21 years of age with one count. Let's add another one. Great. Okay. 50, we get a 32, 25, 31, 18. Okay, and let's calculate the average age. So we get 25.75 average age, and so on and so forth. And that's how you use counters and accumulators. Easy as that.